The incident took the life of 12 crew members along with 229 passengers and 19 students of the medical college when the plane crashed. Several others were injured. The incident report, which is provided by the government, is its preliminary stage. Right now, we cannot go too deep, but what we can say is immediate pilot errors are completely dismissed by this report. Pilots have not made any mistake. Neither the plane was overloaded, neither there was any kind of dangerous cargo on board. The pilot in command was the first officer for whom this was his first flight on this particular type. He has around 3,400 hours of experience. He was 32 years old, and he had 0 hours of experience on this particular flight. However, there was no information provided which indicates that there was any kind of mistake by the pilot. Before the plane crashed into this medical college, which is marked here A, B, C, D, E, F, these are the buildings of the medical college. The plane, or especially the landing gear of the plane, hit the chimney and a tree in a military compound which is just here. The black box has been recovered. One of the black box is completely damaged, but data has been recovered and further data recovery is still going on. The incident showed that there is no contamination of fuel, although further investigation are still going in this particular phase. What caused the crash is a dual engine failure, which is why the ram air turbine is deployed even during the initial takeoff. The RAT is only deployed when both the engines have lost power. The RAT doesn't provide enough power to lift off the landing gear, but it provides sufficient power to make sure the essential communication and other electronic equipment, along with basic hydraulics, is still active on the plane. The landing gear must have caused extra drag, definitely, and has damaged the aerodynamic system of the plane. However, the reason both the engine failed is due to the automatic cut in the fuel intake system. In the audio recording, which has been recovered from the flight audio box and the cockpit voice recorder, the captain has asked the first officer that why did he cut off the fuel intake. The first officer responded that he didn't. This means that the fuel intake system has automatically cut off itself for a few seconds, but again it came back alive. But those few seconds were sufficient to lose a lot of thrust. When the fuel intake system started again, the APU, that is the auxiliary power unit, which gives the secondary power to the plane, started. The air intake was also open, which means that the APU tried, the engines was at full thrust. They tried to lift it up, but by that time they have already lost a lot of altitude and a lot of thrust. The plane was in a nosedive position and couldn't be recovered. Further investigations are still on way, but due to why this fuel intake system and other electronic devices failed. But one thing to be noted is that the crew of the previous flight have made a pilot defect report and have said that few components of the plane were ground staff. The ground engineer of Air India has cleared the flight for takeoff after performing necessary maintenance. Further investigations are still going on, but at the end of the day, we lost hundreds of passengers, including two infants. Let's take a moment to appreciate the life that we have, and let's pray that justice is served in this case. Before we end, I must say that even at the moment of death, the pilots make sure that they recorded everything so that even after their death, the report could bring light to the incident. Just for 2 seconds, within 2 seconds, they made the Mayday call. The entire flight was on board for less than 2 minutes, and they made the Mayday call for just few seconds, 2 to 3 seconds. When the ATC contacted them for an answer that why they have made the media call, before they could reply back, the plane has crashed. We end this report here. As soon as a detailed report is released by the government of India, we'll definitely have a view on that.